to order. All members are present with the exception of Alderwoman Keene and Alderman Tenorio, who are excused. First item is the minutes of May 3rd.
Should move, Mr. Chair.
Then moved, is there a second?
Second.
Approval. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Item D2 is presentation and discussion of options to mitigate persistent structural deficit. Ms. Grill.
For this item, we don't have any more updates aside from the fact that the departments are updating a memo that includes information with the remaining structural deficit work group options. So we'll have that available for your review later this month.
Item 3 is discussion regarding a fire prevention fee.
This we do have a presentation on, and I'll be assisted with by Cale Decker from our attorney's office. So, we're going to go over a fire protection fee, different information on it, and implementation options. So as you know, the top 5 rated mitigations options for the structural deficit, number 1 was the fire protection fee. So that's what we're here today to discuss. And what is a fire protection fee? It's pretty much what it is what it says. It's a fee assessed to properties for fire protection. It's not for the act of going to putting out the fire. It's just for having the protection in existence at all times. So it's not, they're standing by ready to do that.
Can we ask questions?
Certainly.
Basically, why are we just eliminating it to the fire protection and not including the police?
There's not an authority to provide a police protection fee at this point under the state of Wisconsin statutes.
I can get into more detail on that in a little bit.
Okay,
But
thank
we'd
you.
be happy if you would lobby
Right now.
that for that.
So yeah, the nice thing is this page sort of answers your question, why not any other type of fee? The city needs to have some sort of authority to point to for fees, and there's some flexibility in section 660627. However, there is very direct authority with the fire protection fee. And that's where, if you see the second paragraph, and I've mentioned in the past, that section specifically says a town board may impose a fee for fire protective services. Why am I talking about a town here? Because under 62.261, cities have all the same authority that towns have. So whatever a town can do, as long as it's not in conflict with Chapter 62, we can do it too. And there's nothing about how to collect fees for fire departments or fire protection services under Chapter 62. It's silent to that. So there's also a recent case out there from 2015 that upholds Section 60.55 in this exact context. And I can get more into that if anyone has any questions. The covered services, that last paragraph there, that is an impact that was prompting, or at least one of the reasons that's prompting us proposing this fire protection fee. The city will have to take a negative adjustment in its levy limit, so whatever the limit is now has to go down if we switch from a levy-based fire department to a fee-based fire department. However, as long as the numbers work out, which we still have some factors to work into, but assuming the numbers do work out, the odds are we're going to actually be taking away from the levy limit less than the amount that's actually going to move on to a fee. So that in between is where there'll be a little more flexibility in budgeting. We won't have to deduct every single dollar we transfer over to a fee, which allows us to not have to absorb any type of significant cuts as long as it works that way, as long as the math works out that way. So it's one tactic that would get us through at least next year. So in the example that I'm handing off right now, or presenting right now, the levy limit, like I said, would be reduced by a certain amount. However, that number actually is the 2013 expenses that the city incurred for the fire department, not the most recent one or not anything. It's locked in the statutes that the 2013 levy amount for the fire department is what would be used. In 2013, and again, what I'm doing is I'm pulling a number out of the actual 2015 budget looking back 2 years to see what the final number was, it would take a lot more confidence from the finance department to get that hard number, but that's what I pulled out for our example tonight. It was a little over 12 million at that time. This does not include any revenue that the fire department may have collected that year, so that would actually bring that number down. It also doesn't include any administrative costs incurred by other departments that support the fire department. That would push that number back up. So this is very much a conceptual presentation right now. Any numbers you see tonight are going to be estimates and they're not locked in stone. I did my best to get as close to what the ultimate number is going to be, though. So the first step is, how do you do this? We've since, I don't know, I think since the beginning of the fire department, funded it through the general levy. How do you make a switch to a fee-based fire department? The way you do that is the council would have to adopt proper ordinances and resolutions to make it a fee-based. One of those things is, what do you choose to do with budgeting? And that's what you'll decide later this year. Is in the budget, you will decide if you're going to fund the fire department through a fee or through the general levy. Based on our initial research, the best angle and really the only option, because the numbers are going to be so close together, is to move from 100% from the general levy to a fee-based service instead. There was some discussion or maybe talk about doing less than 100%, but if we do that, given how close the numbers are going to be, there likely would not be any advantage to doing so. It would only be confusing. It would then require the general levy to pay part of the fire department the fee. It would really mess the math up, and there wouldn't be any advantage to the city by doing that, given the numbers are so close to each other. So in this presentation, I'm assuming it's going to be $12 million passed over. That is less than the fire department's budget, but it includes any type of revenues that the fire department might generate. And that's why $12 million is just the ballpark number I'm using for now. So as you saw, there are some options for how to impose the fee, and that's really where the council is going to have to come into play and make a decision. Is the options are unlimited. There's nothing in the statute saying that it has to be imposed in a certain way. It just simply says a written schedule determined by the Common Council. And so you're going to be left with basically only constitutional limitations on that. First option, and I've got 4 of them for you tonight, just because I want to get your thinking going as to which way you want to go in this thing. All of this is changeable. The first one, we computed 5,443 acres in the city that are owned fee simple by somebody, but it's not the city, the state, or federal government. And the reason that we eliminate city, state, federal government, if we impose a fee on the city, that means we just have to pay for through some other method. It becomes a circular thing. So it doesn't make sense to charge the city its own fee. The state, because the state only owns a few parcels in the city limits, but on top of that, by charging them a fee, it creates preemption issues and some issues with sovereign immunity and state supremacy and stuff. So it gets really complicated. And for the same reason, the federal government, I'm not sure there'd be any legal authority to impose a fee on the federal government in these circumstances. They just operate in their own world.
So we can't charge state fair?
So at this point, I'd recommend against it. If we wanted to look into it more, I can certainly do that, but we would have an uphill battle charging the state. There is a case right on point with the county. There's a case, that case would carry a lot of weight with the school district and other government entities, but the actual state of Wisconsin would be a different legal argument.
What about railroads?
Railroads, as far as I'm aware, if they own property fee simple, yes. There's nothing special about
Are
that.
they paying property tax?
I
we have a process
don't
we're
believe
collecting?
they do, but they would pay special assessments.
They do pay special assessments.
For property that they own, which my understanding is all the railroads are owned fee simple by the railroad.
Mr. Chair, county parks pay special assessments too, correct?
Yes,
But they wouldn't be in on this, would they?
They would.
they would.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's a city, state, and federal only.
Got it.
Yeah.
Correct. So county and school district would be included in the fee, and that's, again, because we've got a published case that says that. That's okay. So the first thing I did is just basically, it's a very simple calculation. 5,443 acres, divide the $12 million by that, and then for each property in the city, multiply it by how many acres it takes up. So it's, what it effectively does is it creates increased costs for those really large parcels with low assessed value, so think of the sparsely or low-density parcels. And then for any smaller parcels, though, that are built vertically or have a very high assessed value, they would see a significant decrease in costs because of the way it works. The other option is taking that concept of acreage, but changing a little bit to see if, and this just shows you that there are options outside of just purely looking at acres. You can do stuff like this. This example, instead, commercial properties are weighted 2 times that normal. Manufacturing properties are weighted 3 times normal, and the county property is actually weighted at 1/2 of normal. And if you do that, you run the same calculations, the numbers come out. It varies a lot, but the general outcome is going to be that the commercial manufacturing properties are going to pay more. County pays a lot less than it was scheduled to, and then every other property also pays just slightly less. But again, that can vary depending on the size of the parcel.
Are nonprofit properties included in this?
Yes, the fee would be imposed on them as well.
Okay.
And I'll get into some examples to show you what it would look like in a little bit too at the end. The third option is this concept that I created where essentially commercial and manufacturing properties, it's an even trade for them. So it's mathematically possible to compute what portion of your city taxes goes toward the fire department. So I did that and then just copied that amount and pasted it in every property that was classified by the assessor as a manufacturing and commercial property. So they see an even swap, that it wouldn't see any difference in their total amount paid because the tax bill would go down the same amount that the fee would be. By doing that, the remaining balance then is split using that weighted average. So it ensures that commercial manufacturing see no difference, and then tax exempt properties would see a significant increase, and then there'd be a decrease to residential property, which is the non-commercial, non-manufacturing.
What does AV mean?
Assessed value, sorry.
Thank you.
This other one, I didn't have a good name for it, so I called it hybrid acreage value thing. All these things are hard to name because it gets more complicated as I kept going on. But I wanted to come up with some name to reference it. This one I created because the goal with this one was to pass some costs onto properties that wouldn't pay normally to the fire department, and then essentially give an equal split of that difference and reduce that from the property tax bills of those who are already paying taxes. It's a long way to say it, but what ends up happening is if you use the weighted average that we had discussed before, the 2, 3, and a half, and then pick any property that doesn't pay property taxes and figure out what acreage do they take up in the city, it ends up being about 16% after you apply the weights. Now, they actually take up 24% of the land, but the weighted average drives their portion down a little bit because a lot of private, commercial, and manufacturing properties get 2 and 3 times, which that's not what's typically found in tax-exempt properties. So that's why it goes from 24 down to 16. You then take 16% of the total cost and assess that using the weighted formula through the non-taxed properties. You take the remaining balance, which is 84%, and rather than do anything with acreage with the taxable properties, you actually just basically cut all their bills by 16%. If you do that, the math works out perfectly where the taxable properties, everyone gets a 16% discount, and then the properties that are not taxed by acreage, weighted acreage, make up the balance of the 16%. It's a complicated one, but I don't know if there's questions on it. So the main thing here is I just gave you 4 options that are out there. They are by no means the only options, but I wanted to get your thinking about what you would want to do with this and what sort of goals you want to achieve with this fire protection fee, because it is quite flexible. The main thing is that we have to come up with some sort of final formula that we can essentially plug into a calculator, and it will tell us the fee everywhere, and we cannot adjust it based on any special circumstances for any particular property. It has to be a uniformly applied fee. And also, no matter what you pick for 2023, if it's not working or if something happened where you need to make a change, it can be adjusted during each budgeting period.
How would this affect the hospital, West Dallas, Aurora, West Dallas?
So
They would pay.
Yes.
And
They-
what method you use.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I guess it does, right.
They would
yeah.
pay if the fee schedule required them
Right.
to pay.
Okay. And if I may, Mr. President? Back on the first slide, you mentioned that towns can do this, and then cities can do whatever towns do. How many other cities, we have any comparable cities to us doing this yet?
So informally, I've asked my colleagues in other cities who are municipal attorneys. Sheboygan does something similar. Their fire department is part funded by the levy, part funded by a fee. And I believe Hartford is fully fee based for their fire department, but I don't know if they have a full-time fire.
Part-time combination.
Okay, so it's not a large.
So nobody comparable.
Well, Sheboygan.
Sheboygan's a full-time
Sheboygan, okay.
department, but they're half and half. But either way, it's an example of a fee being charged that has been charged, and their city attorney's been there for some time, and he said it's been charged since the day he got there. So-
And do we know what formula they're using?
I didn't look into that detail for them, but,
I like to build on other people's successes.
so what the town of Horde was in Clark County, they're the ones who filed the lawsuit back in 2015, or they were the defendants in that lawsuit. And the formula they used was based upon square footage of a building and then a multiplier depending on the type of use. I didn't have in my data the square footage for each building on every
Well,
property.
that type of use could vary. I mean, it might be simple in a smaller town. Yeah, I like the simplicity of the examples that we've seen here. I think it's very easy to understand and all that. And if we go to this and there's some unforeseen, we don't have a crystal ball, how difficult would it be to undo? Could we just go back to where we were? This isn't like, remember we had talked about some sort of sewer insurance kind of thing at one time? And there was, apparently, once we went down that path, we would have been committed to it. If this turns into a mess, could we, it seems like it'd be relatively simple for us to start this, and going backwards, would we be able to just go, okay, starting at 25, we're going backwards?
So I would want to look into it more, but the only mechanism that I've seen in the statutes for going back would be a referendum to re-increase the tax levy.
We need a citywide referendum.
That's the only way that you could do it outside of a judicial order. If for any reason we would have to do it as a result of litigation, that would be one requirement, is
Could
that
we
the
sue
court would have
ourselves?
to order the method.
Could
by
we
which
sue ourselves?
No. I'll represent both sides. And stalemate.
Yes, you'll make big money. Lots of OT.
Yeah, right. Yeah, every dollar of OT I've
Yeah.
gotten so far.
Yeah, so,
So, I'm going to go to the next one. This is a quick summary of how these options would impact the 19,717 parcels in the city. I'm rounding just because there's no point in being exact, because they're going to change depending on the accuracy of the data. And in my data, it was not 100% accurate. It's 95, 97% accurate. So the acreage one, as you can see, the net cost would go down for over 16,000 properties, but it'll go up for a significant amount too. That total shift means how many dollars are actually changing hands. So, you know, ultimately the fire department costs whatever it costs. And compared to what you were paying in taxes, how much of that taxed amount would shift from one group of people who are benefiting to the other group who are now paying more. So $4 million of that 12 million would shift into that first one. That's a third of the budget. Same thing with the weighted average, except the net cost goes down for more properties, meaning more individual parcels of benefit, but the remaining 2,200 would pay a higher amount. That option number 3 is sort of a balanced one. The reason it's less than 19,700 is because there are about 1,700 commercial and manufacturing parcels in the city, and they would see a 0 change across the board. And then the hybrid one is the last one. You see only 400 properties end up picking up part of the tab, but they pick up only 16% of the tab. And then the benefit of that 16% is passed equally to every other parcel in the city. So that'll be your largest volume-based benefit, but it's going to be, well, so the next slide shows a table of some examples of how this would impact certain properties that are real properties in the city that I applied this formula to. So a good example, the average assessed value for residential single family is about 145,000. So I picked that as a good number. Picture them on 0.121 acres, which that also matters. So frequently on the west side, it's going to be a larger parcel. And on the east side, it's going to be a smaller parcel. In options 1 and 2, the smaller parcel would benefit and the larger parcel would not. So you can see just how it affects
Counted
that.
number.
Yeah.
Under option 1 and 2, you see in option 3, there's a pretty significant benefit for that single-family home. Option 4, the benefit is not as great, but that's because the benefit is spread out over a lot more parcels. And so that's a significant amount. There are probably maybe 14 to 15,000 single-family residential or duplex properties in the city. So it's I think it's single family actually. It's 14,000 single family only, and there's about 3,000 or 4,000 duplex properties. So it's a significant amount. Every dollar or so less that a single family home saves adds up to a pretty big number. And that's why you see what looks like not that much difference between the options in the single family home, but it results in a very large swing in dollars. Then you see commercial. There are some that are high density, low density, and I call them that because they're assessed value. That parcel, the second one there, on 1.1 acres, but it's a $1.5 million property at Highway 100, they would see a pretty significant benefit under any of the options. The low density one is one on the north side that is an auto body shop, and that's a larger parcel, but it's assessed a lot less. And they, under options 1 and 2, would see a pretty significant increase in their bill, but under option 4 would see a 16% decrease. And again, in both those cases, it's a zero change for option 3 because that's how it's designed. And that will be the case in every commercial manufacturing. I picked 3 non-taxed entities right now: a church, the county, and a school district. The church is an example property where it's a 1.3 acre parcel. In church or any of these non-taxable ones, it wouldn't matter what size building they have on the property because we don't have the information on their assessed value anyway. We don't assess them. So it all goes down to the number of acres they cover, and that's it. So church, county, west, you can flip those all around. If the school district owned a 1.3 and a church owned 118 acres, it'd be the exact same numbers across the board. Because it's all based on acreage there. So as you can see, the church would see, under all examples, a $2,400 to $3,000 increase. The county, under all these examples, would see between $104,000 and $260,000. That parcel is 1/2 of Greenfield Park. So you could, West Dallas, West Milwaukee School District, I picked a 14-acre parcel. I think it's one of the elementary schools. They would see an increase across the board of $25,000 to $32,000. And then I picked a very large manufacturer in the city that's on a fairly large parcel, and it's valued at $11 million. They would see, under options 1 and 2, significant increases. In fact, under option 2, this is the highest increase payment of any property in any formula that's not tax exempt. And then option 4 would be, again, a 16% decrease. So again, none of these numbers are, you shouldn't hang your hat on them, but it's going to be a very close estimate to what the actual numbers would be, and it varies only proportionally to the total amount that the fire department would be collecting. So if it's only $10 million, all of these shrink. If it's $15 million for the fee, all of these expand both ways. So yeah, that's the last substantive slide that I believe I have. So if anyone has any questions on that, I can take them right now. Otherwise, I think Rebecca's got sort of the next steps to cover.
So Cale, if we proceed with this, people would see the fire protection fee on their water bill, or would it be something different?
It would actually appear on the tax bill as a special charge.
Oh, okay.
So it'd be an annual thing that just, you've probably seen your tax bill now where it splits up between city, county, state. school district, MATC, there's a line in there for special charges, which is where we would put things like fire inspection fees, snow and ice removal, grass cutting, any type of service to a property. This would be an item that would appear in the special charges line.
Kale, so I'm just trying to get a ballpark. So the West Dallas, the school district numbers for just like one of their properties, and they have 15?
A dozen, so, I mean, more. And, you know, like Hale and Central are pretty large footprints.
Yeah, and then the same thing with the county, that's, you said that would be just half of Greenfield Park. So that would not include the parkways
Doesn't include McCarty.
and McCarty,
So you want to add McCarty,
La Follette, all,
Parkway.
yeah.
yeah, La Follette,
Yeah.
any county-owned land would.
I think we're gonna hear some howling from some of our,
So, that's why we're bringing this up now, is because it's a significant change, and when this happened in the town of Horde, Clark County was very upset. They requested an opinion from the Attorney General immediately. The Attorney General then opined that the town could do this. They then sued the town, trying to get a order from the court, and were not successful in the circuit court level, and then went to Court of Appeals, and also Court of Appeals now has a published case saying that, yes, a town may impose a fee on a county.
and Sheboygan's not a town. Sheboygan's a town?
Sheboygan's a city.
Sheboygan's a city.
I've not heard of any challenge to their fee, but it's been around for apparently a very long time because Chuck Adams has been there for a while. So the main thing here is you should try to pick a formula as best you can that fairly reflects the cost of services. The issue is this is fire protection, so we're not charging people based upon their necessarily expected usage. That can be a factor in your thought process. However, it's the potential and the coverage needs. So a place like Greenfield Park is a huge area of land. If there was ever a fire there, that would be a devastating situation. If someone was in the woods and started a fire, the EMS calls that are there, I'm sure they're responding to those. But there's a lot of possibility. So the area that needs to be protected is the justification for the fee. That I picked in options 2 and 4, they're identical because that's where the half factor has been applied. So it's their acreage cut in half as opposed to their actual full acreage. And that just shows you that there is an option. You could apply a different factor to the county or to the school district or to whomever to get a different number if you think that number is not properly or not a proper number for the protective services that we'd offer.
That's kind of why I asked about State Fairgrounds, because that's a very large parcel, and are we just not going to go on and put out a fire if they have a fire there?
So the state's also special a little bit in that they pay us a fee for services, and they also pay an
But they
addition.
do not pay us our full fees that were due for State Fair.
I think I can say with certainty that we do not recoup our costs from the
Correct.
payment that the state makes to us. But that would be, again, it would be a different legal argument to impose it upon the state, which I can certainly get into if that's where the council wants to go.
Mr. Chair. Yeah, Gail, I have a questions in reference of the county and West Dallas, West Milwaukee School District. How that gets handled, per se. I understand that the money could be applied to new fees, but how the county and West Dallas, West Milwaukee, they're still gonna get that money from Peter to Paul, right?
Well, to
I
some-
mean, they're still gonna get the money from the taxpayers
Yes.
to cover that cost, right?
To some extent, yes. So the school district, for example, would be all of West Dallas, also all of West Milwaukee, and a portion of New Berlin. So in order to get those fees, they would have to collect them from their taxpayers, which would be 90% West Dallas residents, maybe more. So for taxpayers for the school district, it would be almost a one-to-one swap. West Dallas residents would benefit very slightly, and West Milwaukee and some of New Berlin would not benefit slightly.
All right.
But the county they would have to raise that money from countywide. So West Dallas is only what are we, less than 10% of the county, less than 8% of the county as far as population goes. So our assessed value is probably around the same. So it would actually be taxpayers from around the county that would then be chipping in for those fire protective services in the city.
At least until all the other cities start doing this.
Correct. If this is successful, maybe other cities would start doing it, and then it would end up being basically a wash in the end. But that would be up to other cities to make that choice. But it's not one for one. Overall, West Dallas residents, because they're a smaller piece of the pie within the full county and the school district, would end up paying less.
Thank you, Gail.
Are there any other questions or comments?
A few of the things that we're looking at doing if we're to continue moving this forward, we have to confirm what the budget amount was in 2013. Kale mentioned at the beginning that a lot of the administrative costs for the other departments were not included in the fire department at that time, so we need to evaluate things like the IT department. We've moved radios, software, things like that, telephones. We need to make sure that we're taking all of that and moving all of that at this point. Then we also need to check with the auditors to see what type of counting treatment this will need. Have more options for you based on the property categories. If Kale put together 4 options, but maybe there's some other ones that you think we should look at. We'd like to bring this for initial consideration to the council on July 12th. I think I should have added this in here. We would like to have another committee of the whole meeting before the next council, and probably have a closed session discussion too, to provide a little additional information. And then hopefully, as we're putting together the budget, we would be able to include this as part of the budget, so we don't have to utilize cutting other services and staff to meet our limits next year. So,
Any comments or questions? Rebecca, can you see that we all get a copy of that
sure.
list? So we've got something to take a look at. It isn't pretty.
None of this is pretty.
This is just a solution to a problem that's going to just continue to get worse until the state changes how levy limits work.
And the school district doesn't face levy limits?
They have different.
I think it's a different section, but they probably do. I would expect that they do.
It's called something different.
And the county does also?
They're an arm of the
My
state.
question is, if we're shifting this burden from our city property taxpayers onto the county property taxpayers, but they're already up against, their backs against the wall also with their budget, then, other than bringing in the money from nonprofits or non-taxable, tax-exempt properties, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of, I think, an outcome of the situation that the state puts us in,
Yes.
where we are just, I don't envy the task of the county or school district having to budget for these things, but my client is the city, and so I'm trying to create an option that helps the city, and this is one that does.
And I'd just like to say,
It helps us financially, but it might not help us at all with relations with the other governing bodies.
no,
Or with manufacturing if we take certain options.
yeah,
Which is why I presented to the council to add in that factor.
yes, yeah. Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate all the work you've done on this. This is certainly not the kind of thing I think we'd expect from a city attorney typically.
I'm a spreadsheet dork, so
Yeah.
this is right up my wheelhouse.
There we go. Yeah. But I'm glad you're there working on it for us
Yeah.
and bringing some clarity to this, because it's real simple to say, oh, we'll do a fire protection fee. Okay, next, what are we going to do next? But once you start getting into the complexities of it.
Yeah.
Anything further on this item? If not, we'll move on to item 4. This is deliberation of the repair or replacement of Public Works facility currently located at 6300 West McGeo Avenue. And for this item, the committee may convene in closed session pursuant to the provisions of Wisconsin statute, section 19.85, parent 1, parent E, for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties or the investing of public funds. The committee of the whole may reconvene in open session after the completion of the closed session to consider the balance of the agenda. Alderman Tenorio?
Aye.
We need a motion first. I move we go into closed session.
Second.
Alderman Tenorio?
Aye.
Alderwoman Ranky?
Aye.
Alderman Weigel?
Aye.
Alderman Haas?
Aye.
Alderman
Aye.
Kelly? Alderwoman Grisham?
I could be keen to. Aye.
Aye.
Alderman Stefanski and Alderman Roth, and the chair votes aye. We will be in closed session.
Good evening, everybody. We are going to call the Common Council to order, and I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Rote.
Here.
Stefanski.
Here.
Tenorio.
Here.
Vitale. Here. Weigel.
Here.
Grisham. Here. Haas.
Here.
Keen.
She is excused.
Lysick.
Here.
Ranky.
Here.
9 present, 1 excused.
We have a quorum. We are going to have a amendment, I would say, by Alderman Roth has invited Troop 580 from Mount Hope Lutheran Church, and they are going to clear the doorway and present the colors, and then we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. So please rise.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. We will now move on to item D on the agenda's public hearings. We have 2 this evening, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 1.
Resolution relative to the determination for a condition use permit for Urban Pioneer, a proposed multifamily dwelling to be located at 8001 West National Avenue and 80 West National Avenue.
Thank you. Mr. Scher?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Common Council members. The first item here is for the Urban Pioneer. This is a multifamily or condominium project proposed at 80th and National Avenue. It consists of 2 lots, a combined total of just shy of 1 acre of land. You can see it just south of National Avenue, north of the Union Pacific Railroad, and between 80th and 82nd Street. This is the former 2 parts, former Happy Hobby site as well, which unfortunately demised to a fire back in 2012 on New Year's Eve. And then Piramax Bank, which is currently on the corner of 80th and National. The site has been empty for a number of years, and the Happy Hobby site, that is. And Piramax Bank is no longer in business. So the site is on the market for sale. We have a developer, TOD LLC, who is interested in redeveloping this for a multi-unit dwelling. It's 43 condominium units consisting of just shy of 1 acre. The form of the building is seen in the upper right-hand corner, and then sites A and B on the lower site plan would be occupied by this development. It would be combined via certified survey map to combine those 2 lots into 1 lot of record. And the zoning is C2, neighborhood commercial. And in our zoning ordinance, within that C2 neighborhood commercial zoning district, dwelling units of 5 or more units are considered conditional uses, which means it requires a public hearing before the Common Council because of the significance of the change to the neighborhood and to the alterations to the site. The estimated cost is roughly about $17 million. This would be a taxable development, privately owned and developed. And again, consisting of that 43 condominium units would consist of 8 ground floor townhomes, 23 condominiums on floors above that, and then 12 micro units, which are roughly in the neighborhood of 500 square feet in area. There would be underground parking underneath the building, as well as surface parking behind the building. And then the 8 ground floor townhomes would have attached garage units accessible from the back side of the building. Just a view of the site showing the surface parking lots behind the building. The railroad is to the bottom of this site plan, National Avenue being towards the top. So as you can see from the site plan, the building does hug the street edge, fronting on National Avenue and 80th Street, with parking behind the building. There would be patios for those walkout townhomes on the front side of National Avenue side facing portion of the building. The surface parking behind the building would feature not only a landscaped area but rain garden, so that surface water from that parking lot would be kept on site, drained on site, instead of sped off to Lake Michigan in a catch basin. The access to the underground parking is here on the lower right side of the building. And in terms of parking requirements, 53 parking stalls in total will be provided on this site, again consisting of about 37 parking stalls on the surface, underground, and then the balance being either an attached garage or surface parking. Our new code considers maximum parking requirements. In our old code, we looked at things in terms of requiring at least a minimum number of parking stalls. So in our old code, we would require about 63 parking stalls for this type of development. Within our new zoning code, it encourages maximum and requires maximum parking lots, so up to 86 parking stalls are allowed for this type of development, and that's at 2 parking stalls, a maximum of 2 parking stalls per dwelling unit. So this site being proposing 53 parking stalls is under that 86 stall maximum. The building in total is just over 80,000 square feet, and at the highest point, which would be that tower on National Avenue, is about 77.5 feet tall. The architecture of the building is inspired by the old schoolhouse on 84th and National Avenue, which is now currently our historical society. And again, the building being fronting on 2 street frontages is activating the street front of not only National Avenue but 80th Street as well, which is follows the best practice in urban design in terms of its interaction with people not only walking along the sidewalk, but also the impression you get as you're passing by in a vehicle. And then it will feature unique design features, as mentioned, with the tower feature and a stained glass upper element within that. And then the lower patio portions of the building, you can see, are maybe reminiscent of some older industrial buildings in the city, older shop windows with the different color tints to some of the glass panels within the building. That lower floor is roughly about 15 feet, actually a little bit taller than 15 feet tall, but it does feature 2 floors. So if you do happen to purchase a townhome unit on this lower level, you actually are purchasing, your ground floor, first floor, as well as a second floor loft up above. And we'll get into the floor plan in a second. Just going around the building, the front of the building facing National Avenue, this is what we're looking at. A different blend of materials with a cementitious wood look siding, and then moving on to a cementitious hardy plank siding on the other elements in different varieties of color. There would be a smooth finish concrete precast finish on the lower 2 floors of the building. And then just wrapping around the back side of the building, you see the balconies are continuing around the back side of the building, and then those attached garage units to the 8 townhomes down below, and then access to the underground parking here. The side elevations, the east and west, east side facing 80th Street, the Heritage, across the street from that is the Heritage Senior Community. That was what this would look like from that vantage point. And then from the east, from the side to the east where the Flower Girl is located, if you were looking eastward, you would see this elevation of the building. And then just sort of a palette of different exterior materials in the building. The architect's trying to evoke an industrial look, again with the window types and so on, the tower feature reminiscent of the old school. So it does have a historic flair, not only in terms of industrial, but also some of the historic features of the neighborhood. And then with the wood or cementitious wood-looking siding, does introduce some warmer elements and colors to the exterior of the building in its form. The range of unit types are going to range between the townhome units, and you can see the numbers on the far left-hand side column, the type of unit here, townhome with garage, a micro condo unit, that's that 500 square foot smaller condo unit, and then you get into the different range of different condos, 4 different types, A through D. And then the unit mix is roughly about 17 2-bedrooms, 5 1-bedrooms, 21 efficiencies, and ultimately totaling the 43 units. And then the main floor and second floor will have common area amenities, including a fitness area, indoor bike parking, a lobby area, and so on, just for gatherings. There will be an elevator as well, servicing all floors. And then on the, just sort of an example of some of the floor plans, on the first and second floors here, again, the ground floor, walk-in townhome unit accessible from your attached garage space or from National Avenue or from the lobby area on the northeast side of the building. And then you'll have, if you go up to the second floor loft of your condo, you'll have an open view to the floor below. Up on the 5th floor, on the uppermost floor, there would be a rooftop deck, and the property is, a developer is also considering solar panels, a solar array on the rooftop of the building with some skylights and some other sustainable features, again, to sort of, as an amenity and attraction to induce rental and, purchasing of the units in this market. So Planning Commission has recommended approval on April 27th. And a Class 2 notice has been published in the official paper as well as mailed to properties within 200 feet. I guess I'll open it up for questions at this point, and thank you.
Thanks for the presentation, Mr. Scher. Are there any questions from the Common Council on this item?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel.
Steve, so this would be, unless there be substantial changes to this proposal, this is the only public hearing on this project? Okay.
That's correct.
It's my understanding they don't control the property yet, but they're looking forward to making some acquisitions in the
Correct.
coming months. Okay.
Yeah, there's still a few things that need to come together in terms of, yeah, exactly that, combining the properties, well, acquisition, combining the properties, and then potentially some financing mechanism.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? Alderman Rote?
Steve, I may have missed it, but I know there's 8 attached townhouse garages. Is there underground parking, or is everybody else on the surface?
There's a combination. So there's attached for the townhomes, but then there's also 37 underground parking stalls.
And I missed that,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I should have included a cross-section, but there's a ramp down to the lower level. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? Seeing none, are there any questions on public hearing number 1 from the members of the audience? Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Kevin McFadden. I am the owner of the building 2 doors to the west of this proposed project. I'm also a multiple property owner in the city of West Allis. Lived here for 60 years and 35 years on the east end. I just wanted to express my opinion on this. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm pro-development in the area. It needs it. I'd really like to see it, but I want to tell you of my history with this company. It's a bad company. They're disingenuous. They put my property in jeopardy. They originally tried to buy the whole street. And if anyone knows of the property of the small gas station that lies in between us, it's a very, very difficult. I bought my building from the owner, from Mel, and he's very hard. He's a very nice person, but he doesn't associate well with people. And I've been trying to purchase that property and get that. It's been vacant since 1969. I'll leave it at that. But anyways, they got involved in trying to purchase this whole land and found out the only way they were going to make a deal on that was if I approached Mel and made the deal. So I met him at his house, had dinner with him, proposed this. The deal went bad, as some do with developments. Nobody was too upset about it. And they came back again and proposed it again. So I went back and we made the deal. And in fact, they asked me to vacate my property, that they didn't want anyone in there before they would close it. So I did. I moved some tenants to other buildings I owned down the street and left the building vacant. for a significant amount of time. Then all of a sudden, they get this big shark attorney, and he starts going behind my back to Mel, which Mel did not appreciate, causing a lot of problems in my personal life and relationship with him. But when it comes down to the dollars, in the end, they backed out of the deal, costing me nearly $90,000 in deferred maintenance and lost rent, and of which, I mean, in order to get it back going, you have to spend the money and get it back. I ask that you reject this, not just on my opinion. I do not think that they're good businessmen. I do not think that they run a good business. I think that they're very disingenuous, and I really don't want them as neighbors. Thank you.
Thanks for comments. Any other questions or comments from the audience on public hearing number 1?
Hello. My question is, for the surface lot, does that account for visitor parking as well, or is that just resident parking?
That's a comment. It could be, it's primarily for the residents of the property, but it would be up to the property owner how they want to, if they want to share that parking with, say, perhaps the public for a nearby restaurant.
Is National Avenue in that area designated for street parking?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, can we get your name and address too?
Brennan Kroon, 1113 South 95th Street.
Thank you. Anybody else with questions or comments on public hearing number 1? Okay, seeing none, then we will close our first public hearing, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 2.
Resolution relative to the determination for a conditional use permit for Taco John's, a proposed restaurant with accessory drive-through service to be located on a new lot to be created east of 6767 West Greenfield Avenue.
Thank you. Mr. Scher?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Tri-City Bank is located at 6767 West Greenfield Avenue, and as part of their property, they have this highlighted in blue surplus chunk of parking lot. And they came to the city to propose developing that, to separate it via certified survey map, legally create a new lot, and then develop via ground lease a Taco John's on that site. The property is zone C3. Restaurants with drive-throughs are restaurants over 2,000 square feet, and if you have a drive-through, are considered special or conditional uses per our zoning ordinance. And they will be preparing, or they have prepared a certified survey map, which is also on tonight's agenda and will be considered at Safety and Development. So the bank has been around since the 1990s. Then they've identified this lot east of them as surplus land. They'd like to lease it to Taco John's, who is a Tex-Mex or West-Mex chain of restaurants with about 400 locations in the States. And they have 2 stores opening in the area. There's 10 additional locations in southeastern Wisconsin in the next 3 to 4 years. So they picked West Allis as one of their first. So the project cost is roughly about $1.3 million, and it's about a 2,500 square foot building. This is the site layout. Greenfield Avenue is on the very top of your screen here. And then what surrounds this are parking lots. You have the Pick and Save to the south and Tri-City to the west. These are just private drives that wrap around the new lot that would be created. There will be 2 internal access points to Taco John's. So in other words, there will be no new access points into the site along Greenfield Avenue here. There's an existing one here and one here. And access into the Taco John's site would be here on the south end of the site to a double-stack drive-through lane, and then here on the west side, which would primarily be, it wouldn't prevent entrance, but primarily most likely be used for exiting. And then there would be a surface parking lot with roughly about 20 parking stalls. The site would feature an outdoor patio, small outdoor patio for number of tables and chairs, and then the drive-through window is on the north side of the building. The site will be landscaped. A number of the trees on the site will be maintained. However, there are some that will go away. The ones along Greenfield Avenue are kind of on their last leg. Those trees will be removed and replaced with new honey locust trees. And then underneath those trees and in between those trees will be perennial landscaping, which will wrap around the drive-through area to create a little bit of height and screening to the drive-through area and maintain that nicely landscaped street edge along this site. There is a certain amount of other lawn area and landscaping around the rest of the property. I believe it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 30% landscaping. And then the building, this is the example of the architecture of the building. It features a cementitious smart siding, LP smart siding in the exterior of the building. And Planning Commission, one of the recommendations of the Planning Commission was to increase the amount of brick on the exterior of the building, which was added and shown here. Roughly about 7 to 8 feet of brick along the drive-through area. And then you have this panel separating the back of house portion of the building from the front of house building where the public comes in. And then this is more brick in the dark gray, sort of wrapping around the exterior 4 sides of the building. There are a number of windows in the exterior of the building as well, certainly allow natural light in, and it will feature a little bit of a different branding color of reds on the exterior of the building. And just another view of the exterior. The interior floor plan, the blue area in the front is the dining room, public space, and then the service counter behind that, drive-through window on the north side of the building, and then kitchen, back of house on the east side. And then the orange area is the accessible restroom area. And so Plan Commission has recommended approval in May, and a Class 2 notice has been published, and property owners within 200 feet have been notified. To date, have received no objections. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the Common Council on public hearing number 2?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel.
Steve, I saw a patio, exterior, there's like 3 exterior tables?
Yeah, and we can get some more details, but I mean, it appears to be about 4 exterior tables with 4 seats per table.
And what side of the building is that? Is that the west side?
That would be on the west side.
West side,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And I don't see the bike racks?
The bike racks are on site. Let me see if I can find them on the site plan here, but it was noted on, I think, right here, Marty, right in this location here.
So how close to the front door are those? That's one of my pet peeves is when I go somewhere on a bike
Sure.
and the bike rack's on the back by the dumpsters or something, you know?
All the parking stalls are about 9 feet wide, so 27 feet.
Okay, I can
Okay,
imagine.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? All right. Then are there any questions from the members of the audience?
Hello. Do we know the hours of operation, what time they open, what time they close, late night, that type of thing?
Sure. And yeah, I didn't cover that. I'm sorry. Let me just take a quick look. I've got the resolution here. Hours of operation will be from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily.
Got it. Thank you. We know Casey. We don't need his name. Any other questions on public hearing number 2? All right, then we will close public hearing number 2. And if there is no objection from the council, I'd like to go out of order briefly and do my mayor's report first. And under events attended, because Benno's I Go There, I'm going to ask Marty and Susie to come up. I thought you saw her running across the parking lot. I just texted her. I swear you wanted to. I knew I should have drawn those blinds. So, the mayor's report technically is supposed to be, events attended, and like I said, since Benno's slogan was "I go there," I do go there, and therefore, since I go to Benno's, I have a proclamation for those of you that probably know. On Sunday at a la carte it was Benno's Bar and Grill last day after 41 years in our community. And I want to just read this to congratulate Marty and Susie and their entire staff on all that they've done for the greater community over these past 41 years. And I am going to read this because there's a lot of good information in here. They have served the West Dallas community for 41 wonderful years as a much-beloved, family-owned and operated business. And whereas the Milwaukee area's original craft beer specialists have always said they were doing craft beer before it was cool. Since November of 1980, Benno Sr., Monica, Marty, Suzanne, Benno Jr., Suzanne, and Benno staff have run a superb local business, initially starting with 12 beers on draft. They were pioneers in the craft beer movement. And whereas in 1989, they moved to 73rd, from 73rd and National to their final location at 74th and Greenfield, and expanded to 30 draft beers, an especially large selection of microbrews with a focus on American craft beer. Whereas Marty and his wife Suzanne from 1991 on operated Benno's while raising their family above the restaurant, integrating themselves greatly into the West Dallas community. And whereas Benno's, known for their superb Friday night fish fry, the Benno Burger, the Super Taco, and their eventual 40 beer selections on tap with selected bottles, growlers, and an infamous, rather large beer flight. And whereas Marty brought a valuable firsthand account of small business affairs to the council as a 2nd District alderperson in West Dallas as he continues this service, whereas the larger West Dallas community, including many longtime customers, would like to thank Benno's Genuine Bar and Grill and the Weigel family for all their establishment has brought to our community. Therefore, may it be known that I, Dan Devine, Mayor of the City of West Dallas, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, June 7th, 2022, as Benno's Genuine Bar and Grill Day in the City of West Dallas.
I just want to say that I've gotten so much out of being in West Dallas, coming here as a businessman in 1980, and gotten way more than I've given. It's been a great place to live, work, and play, and raise a family. I know many of you know our children. Our 4 kids excelled here in school and are doing well out on their own. I'm really overwhelmed with this. I didn't expect this at all. I was actually thinking I might say a couple words during Alderman's remarks, but I want to thank the community for the support that we've had all these years. A lot of people are asking what's going on, where Susie and I are doing everything we can to buy our next house here in the 2nd District in West Dallas, because I really endeavor to serve out my term and continue as alderman for the next 2 years. So if you know a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath in the 2nd District, give me a call. But yeah, thank you very much to everyone. This means a lot. It's completely unexpected. So thank you.
Thank you.
I just knew you were going to see her sprinting across the parking lot.
Those drapes are usually closed.
She was on her bike.
Mayor, can I say something about Alderman?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask him, if you look for a place, he can come down on KK Parkway, on the east side.
Will there be a vacancy in the aldermanic district over there when I move over? Or is there something going on? Are you feeling okay, Vince? You okay? Are you not a health issue going on or anything?
Thank you.
So I'll just conclude the mayor's report since I started it. I had a few things I wanted to touch on. One was Benno's, obviously, and that, as like I said, his last day was Sunday for the a la carte festival. So I want to take a moment to thank everybody that put together the a la carte festival, the city departments that helped, the community, the downtown bid did a wonderful job. I was told they were guessing 14,000 attendees. It was so good to have this back after missing it for 2 years. So I just want to thank everybody for that.
It was the best ever.
Good to hear. I also wanted to thank Festival Foods and Pick and Save on Highway 100 for hosting the Youth Commission a couple weekends ago for their supply drive for the Street Angels here in West Dallas. The Street Angels are doing a Hygiene 500 event to collect hygiene products for the homeless population in our area. and the youth commissioners set up. And I also want to thank Pastor Kathy Manthei from Apostle Presbyterian, as well as wish her a happy birthday today, because she delivered pizzas to the students that were volunteering at the 2 stores. And she even went through the extra hoops to accommodate a vegan youth commissioner and found a vegan pizza to be delivered to Festival Foods for one of our commissioners. I do want to take a minute to once again congratulate and recognize all of the promotions last night. The West Allis Police Department had their ceremony here in the council chambers. I know Alderman Haas and Roth and Ranke were here as well, and Judge Murphy. And I just want to take a minute to congratulate all of the members of the department that received promotions. And I wanted to thank all of those that received awards for superior performance, as well as the residents in our community that received awards for assisting the police department. And then lastly, I just want to touch base on last Monday's Memorial Day ceremony and also thank everybody who was involved in taking part in that, including the Tanner Paul post. I went up to do my remarks, and I said the shout out for Alderman Haas, Alderman Roth, Alderman Weigel, Judge Murphy, County Supervisor Peter Bergelis was there. And I went up and gave my remarks, and I sat down and looked right out in the front row was Alderwoman Ranke, who I totally forgot to mention. So I told her that I would, I apologized to her because I sat down and my first words were like, oh, shoot, because I totally forgot to mention her, and she was right in the front row. But it was a really nice ceremony, and it was, it was a somber day for obvious reasons, but it was very memorable, and I want to thank everybody that made that happen as well. So that concludes my mayor's report. If I could get us back on track now and go to item E, which is citizen participation. This is when the council can receive information from members of the public on matters of interest to them. We ask that you limit your comments to one statement of no more than 5 minutes. Does anybody wish to address the council under citizen participation this evening? I bored you all to sleep with my mayor's report. Okay. Then we'll move on to item F, which is our standing committees. Those will be meeting during recess. The room numbers are listed on the top of page 2 of your agendas. And I already had done the mayor's report, so we will go to item H. Are there any reports from the alderpersons this evening?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel.
Just a reminder, I know for everybody that would normally be tuning in 2 weeks from tonight for a council meeting, we have something much more exciting going on in 2 weeks. That's the Tour of America's Dairyland race. It's the West Allis Cheese Wheel Classic. That is actually a road bike race in the neighborhood around Beecher Street, 68th, 71st, and Rogers over there. The start and finish will be by the shops on Beecher. That is road bicycle racing all day long on Tuesday, June 21st. That's the longest day. It's actually about 10 different races, so it's 10 different starts and finishes all day long. There will be impacts for the neighbors over there. We mailed everybody. We've been doing door tags. Everybody's invited. It's free. It's going to be much more exciting than coming here for a council meeting. I believe that council meeting has been rescheduled for the next day, if I recall. So everyone's invited to the first ever Tour of America's Dairyland bicycle race here in West Allis. Thanks.
We moved the council back a week. A week? Yeah, not a day. Just so no one shows up here on that Wednesday wondering where everybody is.
Well, I was coming Thursday.
Any other alderpersons' reports? Okay.
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Lysick.
I move for approval of the minutes of May 17th, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any changes to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. The minutes are approved. Moving on to item J.
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Lysick.
I believe the clerk has some additions or corrections to make on the consent agenda.
Yes.
For item number 7, the count number should be 354-6053-523.31-02. And for item 14, there's 2 alcohol licenses which they applied for the incorrect license. So the Wisconsin Athletic Club on page 6 should be a Class B Tavern, not Class A beer and liquor. And then on page 4, West Allis Liquor and Tobacco should be a Class A beer and liquor, not a Class A beer.
Thank you. If there is no objection from any member of the council, I would then move that the consent agenda be adopted as printed.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we stand in recess until conclusion of the committee meeting.
Second.
Here's a motion with a second going to Alderperson Ranky this time by a hair. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are in recess.
First one is the north-south alley west of South Walmer Road.
Thank you.
You don't want me to start over, do you?
No.
We're not even on here.
I didn't think so.
We probably
Yeah, I
are.
don't think that works. Yeah. There we go.
Okay, with West Ohio Avenue on the north and West Wildwood Lane on the south. The second one is the north-south and east-west alley north of West National Avenue and west of South 74th Street with West Lapham Street on the north and South 75th Street on the west.
Move to approve?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 24, 2022-0379, resolution constituting a relocation order for the laying out, relocation, and improvement of a water transmission and distribution facility.
Move to approve?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 25, we were asked to hold. Is that still?
26. 25's good. Go ahead.
Please do.
26 is
Okay,
the one.
25 is the resolution for state contractors.
20, do I
I
have?
got these all typed out wrong. They don't match what was on.
Yeah, 25 is okay. 25 is state contractors. yeah.
Is which one?
Is 04.
Okay, I can read that then, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
2022-0410, resolution to approve bid of State Contractors Incorporated for alley reconstruction in the city of West Allis in the amount of $192,472.
Move to approve?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any, yeah, go ahead.
Is that a budgeted item?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
We're getting, what's changed is it's going to be a green alley with permeable bricks, and that's what number 23 is, to get money from MMSD to pay for the permeable pavement. So that was kind of a last minute change. But otherwise, we had planned to do the alley anyway. Now it's going to be a green alley.
Thank you.
And MMSD will pay for that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We didn't vote yet.
No, we did not vote yet.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to hold number 26.
Okay. then we
Second.
will hold that. But we also got a memo that we could discuss if we wanted,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Did I-
Yeah, it's on the
did I wanna
agenda.
talk
Yeah.
about item 26? This is the lighting for Beecher Street or not? Okay, nobody wants to talk about it. Okay. So much for
There'll be
that.
time.
Okay, so we're holding 26, we'll go to 27. It's a communication 2022-0633, communication regarding 2023 special assessment rates.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Okay, I was gonna say motion
Man,
carries.
That's right, sorry.
Jeez, you're so quick. Oh my goodness, I mean, jeez.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Taking notes?
Someone else want to take that gavel now?
Vince gets the gavel now.
Vince.
Oh,
Gavel,
come
are you?
on, come on. I make too much noise anyway.
3, 2, 1.
It's a joke.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the License and Health Committee, all the members are present. So we'll begin with item 32, 0-2022-0087, ordinance to amend noise regulation variance process. I believe it's sponsored by Alderperson Reinke and Tenorio. So I don't know if we need probably Bob for questions. I mean,
Mr.
what-
Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually brought this to Alderpersons Rankin and Tenorio, asked them to sponsor it. Commissioner Leishau approached me with a variance request submitted by Unit Drop Forge, and it was a very cumbersome, unnecessary process in the code to get a variance to our noise regulations. So I changed it around to simplify it and streamline it so that it would be a much quicker process for the council. So if the council adopts this, you can expect Unit Forge to file an application for it in the future, and you won't have to follow a very cumbersome hearing process with lawyers and reports and things. Instead, it would just be more like a request for a variance, which is a very quick process.
Thank
But
you for
normally-
cleaning it up.
Yeah, go ahead. You want to say
Oh,
something?
no, that's okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the fact that is unit forging, normally, I mean, when they apply for renewal, I mean, I never heard any details in regards to any things that was not really based on the variance. There was something that was not really explicit, explained, or directed.
They currently have a variance that I believe lasts until next year, but they
Yes.
just want to get ahead of schedule and get that taken care of. So that's the reason that this is coming forward. And I can't speak to whatever process the council followed in the past, but the code was a very long process.
So we try to minimize a lot of the verbiage, right?
Unlike a situation where you're trying to remove a property right, a variance request is a privilege the council would grant, so it does not require the same level of due process. And it was following the license revocation due process effectively, which is unnecessary in this circumstance.
Okay, thank you. On the
Mr.
motion?
Chair, it just fine tunes the process.
Yes, yes,
I thank Kale for working on this.
yes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The aye have it. Then we move on to item 33, 2022-0592, new Class A beer license for National Petrol LLC DBA BP Sunrise 9530 West National Avenue, West Dallas, Wisconsin, 53227, agent Sarah Gearball Singh, ALC 20107. Is the gentleman is here? From, I believe he was here before, so,
We already did, though.
is that correct? He was here before, the same. So any questions from the committee? I mean, I don't think there's any issue here. I mean, I don't think he has any records. I think he's a clear
Chair.
guy. Yes.
It's just a change of,
Legal entity.
right.
Yeah, that's all.
They're just doing a name swap.
Same
That's what it is.
individuals.
It says it's a new Class A beer license, so.
But
They're
what-
changing the legal entity.
Yeah.
See,
National Petro of West Dallas Incorporated to National Petro LLC.
Yes.
It's the same
the verbiage
agent.
is changed.
Yeah, that's all.
Motion to
Okay.
approve.
Second.
Second? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it. Then we move on to item 34, 2022-0653. New Class B tavern license for Nicky Mix Place LLC DBA, Nicky Mix Place, 9105 West Lincoln Avenue. Agent Christopher Allen Miquette, ALC 22139. The gentleman is here, Nick? Nobody's here. He's not here. But I don't see any really any convictions or violation reported by the police department. So any additional questions from the committee? Any questions for the applicant? Item 34.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
when we're looking to have a new Class B tavern license for a new establishment, wouldn't it be appropriate that the applicant at least appear
Well, that's what. See,
for
that's
any questions or at least to give a background? Pardon me?
I'm sorry, that's why they're on the schedule. for
Correct.
hearings.
Yeah,
So
see, that's-
At this juncture, I would like to at least meet the new applicant, see what their background is in
yeah.
business.
We can hold it.
So if that would be the consensus, I would make a motion to hold.
Second.
All in favor of the motion to hold it, the
Aye.
application?
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it. Let's move on. We have item 35, 2022-0698, Class B Tavern Seasonal Temporary Public Entertainment Premises Permit, amendment request for Riviera of Wisconsin, DBA Riviera Lanes, 8600 West Greenfield Avenue, requesting outdoor entertainments on Wednesday and Thursday night, 2022 to 4 temps. Okay,
Is the applicant here?
the applicant is here? See,
Okay. Mr. Chair, if I may lead on this, Riviera came before us, I think it was at our
He
last
did-
council
the
meeting.
last time, yes.
And now this is an amendment, and I think he was a bit over the, I think it was just, the details of what he needed to do to set it up, which is not for us to decide. That framework's already in place. However, I have a little bit of concern and would like to question adding the Wednesday and Thursday nights. That would open this up to four days out of the week
yeah.
that they could have open entertainment. One was noted on the permit that he wanted to have an open mic night, which as close as it is to the residential areas there, I guess I would like him to answer some of those questions. So
So we can hold that one too.
at this point, we can either hold it or we can deny it. I would give him an opportunity. I would have expected him to come, though, at least.
To come next, the
up
next
here.
meeting, really.
So I'll make a motion to hold.
I'll second it.
All in favor of the motion to hold it?
Chair, I think also,
Yes.
one of the hangups was that fencing thing, wasn't it?
There was a long discussion about the fence.
Yeah.
Nothing was
Right.
solved on it. It was like, I didn't quite,
I thought he was gonna put up that,
And-
Yeah.
okay, I may have missed it.
Yeah, I think that's.
And Mr. Chair, if I
You
may.
let it subject. Go
If I
ahead.
may, I just want to kind of rein us in on kind of what we look at as far as what's brought before us. I think there's already departments in place to handle all those sign-offs, and the clerks are very well versed with letting them know. So I know oftentimes we're talking about, the details of landscaping and things like that, and that really goes to a different area.
Yes.
I'd be more concerned with, like I said, the neighbors, how many days a week. Otherwise, I think we have a fairly well-outlined framework for these businesses, but I'd like to see it streamlined even a little bit better.
Mr. Chair.
Yes,
I
Alderman
also
Frank.
agree with Alderman Grisham. I am concerned about the neighborhood. I realize it's on a busy street, however, it is budding a neighborhood, and when they came before us, they only indicated the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And now they're asking further for 2 extra days.
2 extra days,
I
yeah.
agree that we should have them in to explain what they have in mind.
So,
so
and the
did we-
motion to hold it.
I'd made a motion to hold.
Yes.
Say, all in favor of the motion to hold
Aye.
it?
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it. So we move on to item 3.6, 2022-0604, Class B Tavern Seasonal Temporary Premise Extension and Temporary Public Entertainments Premise Permit Request for Ganger Incorporation, DBA Dups Bar and Grill, 1753 South 68th Street from May 18, 2022 to November 1st, 2022. Temps 2210.
Hello.
Hi. So you were here last time, right?
I was, and then
Oh,
my
you got
cook
everything?
didn't show, and I had to leave last
Emergency call, I recall.
Huh?
So I said you had an emergency call. So-
Absolutely.
So welcome back.
Thank
Welcome
you.
back, yes. So the way you look, you got everything in good standing, everything's ready to go? I mean,
Oh, yeah. I
and no
actually,
issues?
I have one band, Jim Gaff, on July 16th, and then I have a luau that I do every year for my VIP drawing, which is the June 26th, which I'm gonna have a DJ. Other than that, it's pretty much mostly just for people to go outside and drink and eat at my tables out front. I'll put chairs out.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Alderman Christian.
I just have one question for you, and this was brought before. I know a lot of the requested dates are going into November, but I have personally requested amendments for those applicants to not extend past Labor Day if there was going to be music events or otherwise. So would you be in agreement that we would adjust those dates to Labor Day? And,
Sure.
And if you have another date after, on the top of your head, like
I
I know
just
there was
won't.
like Oktoberfest or something like that, you can add that week.
When is Harvest Fest?
That's usually the last week of October.
I wouldn't even have a band anyway, so yeah, I'm
Okay,
fine with
so
that.
would you be okay with that amendment?
Yes.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve with
The amendment.
the amendment added that this extension will be from June 8th through Labor Day. I don't have that specific date. Does anybody have that date?
I don't,
Can it be just written as Labor Day, or do we need to have the date?
it's a calendar right
It's the
there.
first Tuesday after the first Monday is the rule, right?
Right. So,
September 6th.
Okay.
like in October, that's Labor Day is before October.
Labor Day is September, first weekend in September.
Yep.
Yeah. So for bands, you mean only? Oh, for sure.
Can we specify that, Gail?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, Alderman.
Go ahead.
Gail.
So the record seems to show that there's only 3 bands scheduled.
Two so far, yeah.
Or 3 dates you want to schedule a band.
Yeah.
25th, 26th of June, and then the,
16th, 17th of July.
okay.
Yeah.
So those are the only dates in which there would be any music outside, correct?
Correct.
Otherwise,
I mean,
it's
unless
just,
possibly that's what I paid for, but I have nothing planned whatsoever. It's mostly so people can go outside, smoke, go in my back, or like if I get anybody from across the street, they come and as long as they can drink outside in my area.
Alderperson Ed,
So
you
the-
had a
Yeah.
question?
Please. I noticed that on Saturday and Sunday, you have the hours till 11 o'clock at night. Don't we have something in place that allows the hours till
That's
10
for
o'clock?
Mr. Chair.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
11 o'clock, it's
This is,
residential
I think we're
area. I'm
confusing.
concerned about that, very definitely.
There's a difference between the temporary extension and the temporary entertainment premise permit. So she's applying for both together. She's applying for the entertainment on those 2 days.
Correct.
The rest of the time, she just wants people to be able to go outside and take their alcohol and
Yeah.
eat or smoke or whatever until 11 o'clock at night. So that's, I think a lot of times we're getting hung up on these where people just want to have
The dual permit.
people to go out there with their alcohol versus it's not going to be that
There'll
they're
be no
having
music, there
music
won't be
all
any
the
music.
time unless you don't
There's
restrict
no
it.
music until 11 o'clock?
Not outside ever, no.
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I mean, not, well, I shouldn't say ever, but right, no.
Alderperson Stefanescu.
Concerned about,
Yeah, no, I don't put, no. I don't even have a big screen TV or anything, which I'd like, but yeah.
So I'm looking at this,
Yeah,
and it
no.
says, contemplated hours, Sunday to Saturday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m.
right.
Outside hours, quiet time is supposed to be 6 during the week. Or, I'm sorry, 10 p.m. During
10
the week.
p.m., yes.
Yeah.
So we would have to change this because they can't be outside making noise past 10 p.m. during the week, correct?
Mr.
Yeah, how
Chair.
Gail, go ahead.
So without any request beyond 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock is the limit. The council is allowed to extend those hours for outside premises if the council wants to. So the request is for 11 o'clock. If you do not wish to approve until 11 o'clock, you could just approve till 10 o'clock.
When I filled out the application, me and Gina helped me with it. We just did what, like the maximum that the law will allow or something like that. So whatever.
So you did request with Gina 11 p.m., right? That's what you did?
Yeah, just like we did, I think she said 6 months was the, or however many months. That's why I did the date that I applied and.
So won't be no music out during that time?
No,
right?
my,
Outside.
no.
So any problem you got?
They just go out there and have their,
If,
yeah,
if
no.
I may
Yes, thanks.
correct, thank you, Rebecca, for clarifying.
Yes.
Yeah,
that
thank you
was-
too, 'cause I got
That's my
confused
oversight
also.
as well.
Yes.
With
Yeah.
these dates, and I just wanted to at least stay consistent. So my apologies for that. I'll
That's
retract
okay.
that amendment, and we'll add the amendment to 10 PM.
Yeah, that's right, whatever,
Yeah,
you know.
either way.
Just basically have people
If
outside
that's
and,
acceptable. So
Yeah.
I would make a motion to approve with the amendment to no later than 10 PM.
sure.
Okay?
No
Yeah.
later than what?
10
10
p.m.
PM.
10 p.m.
Is that the standard, if I can ask? Like with everybody that's getting this? Okay, well then,
Yeah.
I would have put that down if I knew.
So any seconds from the committee?
Second.
All in favor of the motion,
Aye.
Aye.
the amendment? Opposed? The aye have it.
My
you.
apologies, it got a little
Thank you.
confusing.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no, and I have been asking those questions myself.
All
'cause
right.
I-
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
So let's
By
move
the way,
on.
a la carte was excellent, the dunk tank girls, everybody that Emily and Diane, you know,
We had a great time.
it was a great, yeah.
Thank you.
So let's move on to item 3.7, 20220632, Class B Tavern seasonal temporary premises extension request for Camino 7211-72313
Move to
West Greenfield
approve.
Avenue.
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it.
Don't even need
38.
to come up here.
Oh, I don't need to?
You're good.
Thank you for coming.
Oh,
Tell
you're
us
here.
about your extension
You're all
reviews.
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you-
You're good.
Seriously.
We approve it as you're walking out.
Thank you very much.
Oh, my God, I didn't. So we move on to item 3.8, 2022-0639. Transient merchants license application for Jessica Lockhart, representing True Green Lawn Care Service, offering lawn care service through December 31st, 2022 DSS H5. She's here. Well, based on what I see, she has
This is
quite
the
a
first
records, you know. I mean, I know it's not direct to the, you know,
Could we have clarification as far as what this is about? Because we've never had an application for a lawn service before, have we?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair?
go ahead, Ms.
So the transient merchant license took over for direct sellers, hawkers, solicitors, food peddlers, and every other temporary sales type job that's out there. So what True Green Lawn Service likely is asking to do is go door to door to try to sell their services. That'd make them a transient merchant. That's why this license request is
So
before
they
the
have to
committee.
get a permit for doing that?
If they're intending to sell from a temporary location, yes.
Okay.
So my guess is it's a door-to-door sales type
I
business.
see, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, well, Person Christian.
I have concerns with this particular
Yes.
applicant based on the record that was presented, and I would make a motion to deny based on licensing activity.
Drive without a license?
Pardon me?
Drive without a license?
No, nothing like that. I'm trying to find the right verbiage, Cale.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
That would substantiate that the past record substantially relates to the licensing activity. Is that how it would be phrased?
Yes, so these are all public records. You can say the types of convictions you believe relate to this license activity.
Okay, with that being said, I will note that
Right,
this
without a
particular
license. Yeah, that's
applicant
right.
has been charged with theft from a business. I think this puts our citizens at risk for potential scams.
So yeah, pray without a license.
Yeah, that's
too.
that's minor compared to my
Oh, I know it's
concern would be,
yeah.
2015, there was a theft from a business conviction, was 2017 probation violation, and that single conviction related to theft from business. When you're going door to door, I'd have more concern. There are no roots in the city that we can fall back on, so that would be my basis of denial, that the conviction does substantially relate to the license activity.
I'll second it.
Totally. So all in favor of the motion of denial?
Aye.
Oppose? The aye have it. So we move on with item 3.9, 2022-0651, application for transfer of a license from premises to premise of Class A liquor license for State Fair Liquor and Food Mart, current location at 1568 South 81st Street to 1717 South 76th Street for Prebita Helder, agent.
Welcome.
So hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Looks like you found a location.
Yes.
So many congratulations to you that you found a location. I looked over your application. I think this will be a very good fit. I did confer with Alderman Weigel, who is your district rep, and we have Alderman Stefanski here. I think, as Alderman Weigel had stated, more of a commercial setting will probably be beneficial for your business. That's just my opinion. And this is assuming that we are looking at 81st is no longer going to be.
Yeah, amen.
All right.
All right. That's my input.
So I need a motion.
Motion to approve, I will second that.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Oppose? The aye have it. Good luck to you, eh?
Say, that was easy breezy.
Now the hard work comes in moving.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
You're very welcome. Good luck.
Thank you. So we move on to item 40, 2022-0680, 2022-2024, new operator license bartender Class D operator application for Loretta Perez, bartenders 171. All right. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
So I know what you're here for, but you had any records during the past few years?
I know I've had minor incidences that I've taken care of, but nothing that I believed would impact my ability to be a server.
Nothing related to alcohol or anything like that, right? So based on that, any question from the committee? I don't see anything really. Yes, go ahead.
How did you get here tonight?
Today, with my boss, and I actually live,
Okay.
yeah.
Good answer.
I don't see any, really.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
have you had any form of rehabilitation?
I actually had to do, from 2019, I did have one DVIS assessment due to a case that I had dropped to a non-ordinance. I have documentation that that was fully taken care of. I actually got the recommendation that she didn't see me needing any therapy or any treatment. So due to her saying that she didn't require anything to be done, it actually was the reasoning for it getting dropped.
I see.
Okay. Anything else from the committee? Any
No,
questions?
motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor of the motion to approve?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Good luck to you.
Thank you for hearing.
All right, now we move on to item 4.1. 2022-0681, 2022-2024, new operator license, bartender class D operator for application for Joelle Brinus, bartender 172. She's here? Well, better.
Mr. Chair, I move to deny the.
Yeah, I mean, I better,
Second.
I'm glad that she show up anyway,
Habitual
so.
law offender and.
So, all in favor of denial?
drugs.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it. Man, I never see anything like that, really. But anyway, let's
Okay.
move on. 42, communication regarding nuisance abatement program action plan in progress. So I would like to just, we have our city health commissioners,
Hello.
Robert Lawshaw.
Welcome back.
Thank you. So it has my name attached to it.
Okay,
so I'm
Bob.
really representing the task force, and I think we've got some of the commission members or the task force members here as well, if I miss anything. But in your packet, you should have a communication that really just gives a progress update on the task force. Since our last update provided to you a couple of months ago. So I won't get into all the details. What I'm going to do is really just talk a little bit about the highlights of each different section of the nuisance action plan that was presented a couple months ago. So if you remember, there were a few areas that we decided to focus on, and one of those is the garbage cart standardization initiative, and so the summary update with regard to that, and information provided by Dave Wepking, and Dave, if I miss anything, certainly jump in, is that the garbage carts are being placed at this point. And then the other highlight is for those residents that have yet to purchase the carts, DPW will and may have already begun to place carts at those properties where they haven't yet purchased. So that is moving forward. If we touch on the code enforcement efforts focus area, or otherwise a consolidated reorganization initiative, and Rebecca is really leading the charge on that particular area, especially with regard to the bins activity. The name bins has effectively changed to code enforcement department, and so it's my understanding that there are efforts underway to hire and recruit the individuals who are going to lead that particular department. And then there are a number of folks who are engaged in the rodent enforcement process who did go through citation training with our local PD. So we have built capacity in order to issue those citations should they be needed. And then also under the code enforcement efforts, there's a lot of time and energy being put into development of record-keeping capabilities with an OpenGov platform. Dropping down to resident engagement and partnership plan focus area. There is a standing communications subcommittee that has put together a plan of their own. They have been in the process of developing materials as well as info that is actually going to be distributed and has begun to be distributed through social media, and then also materials that are going to be made available as part of the walkthrough that all of you have been invited to. So that touches on the other big update is if you didn't, for some reason, get that invitation to one of the two walkthroughs, please let me know because I will make sure that we get that out to you. June 14th is the first one that's coming up. We are going to focus on the areas of 96th Street between Manitoba Street and Montana Avenue to begin with. And then the second walkthrough event is June 23rd. And there are actually two locations that we will focus on. Orchard Street between 61st Street and 63rd Street. And then the second location is at 61st Street between National Avenue and Madison.
What's new?
So these were identified as being kind of the hot spots, and so we will walk through those areas. The environmental inspectors will essentially make this a facilitated walkthrough and show folks what we look for, what they look for in terms of risk that essentially prompt potential rat activity or rodent activity. And then too, as part of that, there will be an effort to actually put door hangers on the properties in these areas, just to let them know that this area has been identified as a hotspot area. So that is organized, and then as we drop down, the nuisance animal abatement mitigation plan is really in effect what was shared with you folks a couple months ago. And then as part of that too, there is a dedicated subcommittee working really on the data and the metrics behind this. So really a way that we're going to be able to identify any success to this initiative is having a baseline of sorts. And so that's where Health Department has contributed data, BINS has contributed data, DPW is also throwing information, into the hopper that really helps us identify where we are seeing the rat activity. And so as part of that, the GIS platform that the city did have is in effect, one way or another, going to be resurrected. And so we've been working with our GIS person in IT to keep that updated. And then as well, another update is we have actually entered into a contract with a pest management company, so they are ready to go. Once we go through the walkthroughs, this is the plan, is once we do that, then we'll engage the pest control company to actually help with the mitigation in these particular areas. And then last but not least, the ordinance changes. Kayla, again, if I'm misstepping here in any way, jump in, but otherwise, that's been a conversation with Nick and Rebecca and myself and some of the other task force members, really just to initially take a look at current ordinance, for us really just to get a clear sense of what we can and can't do, and really to better understand what's already on the books. And then secondarily, there has been discussion about creating ordinance that I think the term is summary abatement that Kale and folks are working on at this point. So it's my understanding that a draft of that has been developed and is working its way through the review and approval process. That's That's the dime store tour, as far as a progress update on the ordinance activity.
Bob, I really like the idea of the door hangers, you know, because many people I don't think really, in particular, I mean, I talk about my district, you know, the area there you mentioned it. You know, it seemed like, I know it doesn't cross their mind by getting, say, a loaf of bread or half a slice of bread and just toss it out right in the backyard. I believe in many cases that's what has been causing a lot of the problem. And of course, the bird feeders, I think, in the past or even now, there's still some people still have them, you know? So which it's illegal now to have them, right? No, not yet.
No.
No, they're
No,
not.
you can have bird feeders.
Yeah, you can have bird
Yeah, but they
feeders.
just need to clean
But
it
it
up.
should be maintained, see, but they're not. See, that's what I was gonna say. So that's where the biggest problem continues with rodents, really. I
Mr.
mean-
Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
If I may, I just want to personally thank all the departments for working together on this collaboration. This update is very promising, and I really thank you for the effort and the action that's going forward with this. Kudos to everybody involved. I do plan on attending the walkthrough if you got my RSVP for that, because I'd like to learn so I can help educate the constituents as well. So, thank you all.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Alderman Drew.
Bob, did you, and Dave as well, I looked at the RAT map, and everything was
Did you do
concentrated
quotes?
on the east side. I mean, there was a lot of colors down there. Would that equate or correlate the same with having no dump carts or bad dump carts?
In this case, it wouldn't.
Oh, so there was nothing, it was just,
Correct. We're seeing more of the carts that are not being purchased at this time, roughly 50% of the 200 that are still required in the trailer parks in that area.
right, but you sent us an email, I think it was today, an update of the 1,200 carts that, or 1,200 properties that you identified that needed carts.
Correct.
Was there any concentration, or was it just all over the map?
Pretty much all over.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any further
Mr. Chair.
questions? Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I do have a question regarding the carts. I don't recall that we've given the homeowner a chance to purchase the cart if they don't have the means. I'm wondering, is there a program that we can put in place, or if a homeowner, I received a call, a very, very angry man that indicated he had a heart attack and he lost his job and he wasn't gonna pay for a cart. He definitely was not gonna pay for a cart because he thought it was a city responsibility, not his responsibility, but the city. So I said, perhaps we can work out a way where he could do it in increments, just so he would have a cart for his garbage.
So per ordinance, it is the residential, the homeowner or the tenant, their responsibility to have a city purchase refuse
Right.
cart.
I
Nothing
indicated that.
addresses any type of payment plans in the fee schedule. We did have the discounted refuse
I
cart
know.
sale from January 1st to May 31st. Effective June 1st, it's full price. We are kind of given some time for the residential individuals that have yet to purchase these carts due to staffing, but yeah, there's nothing set at this time in the fee schedule that addresses that.
Mr. Chair?
Oh, yes, Gail.
So although there isn't a payment schedule for the garbage carts, effectively there would be, in that the total cost would be put on the tax roll. So there wouldn't be necessarily a payment due right away. It would go on the tax bill, which would be something that comes out in December, which then is a 3-payment option for the tax bill going into the next year. So effectively, they wouldn't have to pay for it at all at first, and then there'd be a 3rd payment in January, 1/3 in March, 1/3 in May. So there would be a payment schedule available. It would be treated the same as taxes.
Okay, I appreciate that.
You know, the fact is, I know people that spend $50 going to the bar at night, you know?
I mean, that's true, but for some people, $50 is a lot. It takes
know for a lot of
scheduling
people
and
it's-
Is
planning.
that on the agenda, Vince?
Yeah, really?
Any more discussion?
Yeah,
Any
Mr. Chair.
any more discussions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
What was the price of the car? It was like almost nothing. The car.
Yeah, it was like $28.
Yes, I thought it was in the
$29.
20s.
I know,
So,
I know.
I personally think the initiative was a great success, so again, thank you.
yeah, there's a lot of interest.
Yeah, there was, and there were
Yes.
many others that bought additional carts
Yes,
as well,
yes.
so I think we are garbage cart rich.
I do think it's a wonderful program that we offered our constituents. I really do.
So any further discussions or questions for Mr. Loshaw? or-
No, thank you, Bob. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Yeah, well, we have to kind of, it's a communication, but we can place it on file, right?
Oh, we have
Place
one more
on file.
communication, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I took off my
Place it on
glasses too
file.
soon.
So an motion to place it on file.
Second.
So the motion was second to place on file.
Gentlemen,
Aye.
Opposed?
we're all ayes.
Well, aye.
Okay.
Okay. Move to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favors?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The aye have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I'll let Rosalie
Yes.
take care of my
Okay, advisory come to order. Let the minutes reflect all members are present. We have number 3, a resolution in support of universal background checks for firearm acquisition and prohibiting the sale of AR-15 style rifles.
Motion to deny.
Any question from the committee? For a second.
We need a
I'm
second to
going,
discuss it.
I'm
Yeah,
going to,
discussions.
I'm going to second this motion to deny with discussion.
Madam
And-
Chair? Sorry.
Hmm.
I apologize.
Yes.
So since this isn't a license application, it should be a motion to postpone indefinitely, which effectively,
Is it denial?
it's just, it varies and there's no position taken on it. But
Okay.
it- you
Motion
wouldn't,
to postpone indefinitely.
May we have discussion?
yes, that's.
Well, that's what we need, you know,
Regarding-
maybe let me,
Okay?
the advisory resolution really, you know, it seemed to me, many of the people, you know, in this country, the opponents, of course, you know, I mean, they always had an issue about the guns, you know, I mean, because somebody is talking about to maybe have a background check, follow through with a better affirmative rules and laws of the land, which to me is going over the integrity of the people of this country, really. Has gone farther away from people feelings. The guns, it seem like they brainwash the public by saying that that's a self-defense. You need that. You know, they keep pushed on the young people, on the people come forward, you know, the younger people, on and on. And to me, it's totally unrealistic. I read on the Milwaukee Journal, a guy traveled for 60 years. He was in some kind of business, you know, and he says the only country in the world things happens like in USA, that's right here in my own land. Because the lobbyists in this country are so powerful and strong. Why in the world do we need a AR-15 in this country? Why? I mean, that's an assault weapon. I'm not talking to deprive people to acquire a pistol, to acquire a hunting rifle. That's not the issue here. The issue here that happens in schools, it happens in many shopping centers, it happens all over on a daily basis just about. There is records. There's a shooting going on in this country, and there is, somebody sent me an email, say that in Europe it's been happened too. That's false. That's a false statement. In Europe, they have a stiffer rules about anybody to get an assault weapon. You're not able to get it. If you get under the table, that's different. But to me, it's totally unrealistic. The politician in Washington, they keep pushing the questions, well, we're going to arm the teachers. we're going to raise the age to 18 to 21. That's a big farce, really. I mean, from 18 to 21, then you'll be able to purchase an assault weapon. That's totally insane. I mean, people of the law, people that are supposed to support this country to have a better school, better growing population of children. Instead of my 6-year-old granddaughter, she's going to start the school at St. Matthias, 6 years old. She says, Grandpa, he called me no. She says, I'm afraid to go to school because I hear kids got killed. Where did happen, something like that? And then we're opposing it because for what reason is that? What's wrong with a background check? Check some of those idiots. They can go one day, they can go in one gun shop. The next day they can go to another gun shop and buy the same assault weapons. That's ridiculous. And nobody seemed like, we can do that. The amendment, that's the way the country was created by. That's ridiculous and unrealistic, really, in all fairness. That's why I'm so strong, and I'm disappointed. Many of the politicians, which is the state, Washington, they always come up with some fraudulent comments, stupidity. We're going to arm the teachers. I'm sorry that I repeat that again. We're going to arm the teachers in classes. That's totally insane. What kind of country would they try to make out of this land? That's a beautiful land, and we destroy within. We have wars within us because the guns, the lobbyists are so strong. 25 years ago, right in the Common Council floor, this guy was a retired Milwaukee police officer. At that time, people had a petition drive. They don't want a gun shop across the street from Longfellow School. But we couldn't do nothing about it. The gun shop went there. They put a gun shop there. Over 100 residents to surrounding from Longfellow School. They're opposing it. We had a meeting at Longfellow School and still went through. We have a gun shop. But the fact is, don't tell anybody that, the guns no kill people. Yeah, the guns do kill people because they're there. Nobody gets robbed in a house when you're at home at night. That's zero. The percent, if you guys check, it's zero that somebody walks in and rob your house. Many times it happens when you're not at home. That happens. But in many cases, don't happen.
Madam Chair, may I
so
call
that's
for a
let me finish first. All right?
I'm going to call for a point of order.
No,
because we're way off topic.
I got the floor right now.
So a point of order can interrupt the speaker, but what is your point?
We're very off topic to what the resolution is discussing as background checks and prohibiting the sale of AR-15s. We're not discussing the opening or positions of gun stores.
So, Madam Chair, the request would be to make sure the speaker remains germane in the debate. So if you feel for any reason that the debate is exceeding the scope of the item before the committee, just make sure to remind the speaker to stay germane. That would be how to handle it, but you can continue then.
Yeah, so I mean I can continue on my statements, really. So I cannot be just to stop from you to tell me that I should not continue on. That's totally insane, really, for you
not gonna argue
to do
with
that to
this.
me. No, because you've done that before, and I'm sick and tired of that. I'm sick and tired. So the fact is, I proposed this for my own reasons. I mean, that's an advisory resolution, which probably is not going to do anything, but the fact that I have the rights in the world as an elected official to do it. I mean, I felt to do it. If the council decided not to follow through, that's fine. But I don't want to be stopped when I'm making a statements. When I address this council, the people here, I don't want to be blocked because I'm talking, okay? So you got to keep that in your mind in the future, because you've done that more than once. You continue to stop when I'm talking, and I never say much. So this has got to stop.
This could be something discussed privately.
Okay.
Well, that's fine, but I'll say to you publicly here because you've done that.
All right.
Maybe I'm not as good speaker as you are, but I got some intelligence, okay?
Thank you, Alderman
Okay,
Vitale.
go ahead.
Does anyone else
Madam Chair.
have anything they want to discuss
Madam Chair.
on this resolution?
Madam
Alderman
Chairman.
Grisham.
Thank you. First and foremost, I want to thank Alderman Vitale for passionately bringing forward something that he so deeply cares about. And that is a heated topic amongst many. And it doesn't matter political affiliation or not. I'm going to speak to what the resolution is about. And I'm going to share one brief, hopefully brief, personal thing and why I would not support, a number of reasons why I wouldn't support prohibiting the sale of an AR-15 or any weapon for that matter. First and foremost, it's because we have a Constitution with the Second Amendment that we all take an oath for, that we stand up to protect. I think this is out of the scope of what local government is, and if you have this passion, Vince, I appreciate that you're bringing up a topic that's hard to discuss, but that's something that you could do in your time to lobby state and federal. It's not within the scope of West Allis to make these decisions. And also, obviously, a resolution is showing support of 10 people on a council. This isn't even a topic that has been brought forward. We represent the city. I don't represent my own voice. I have my own personal platform for that, and that's where I go with it. So I'm going to share a story with you only because I need you guys to understand something. My sister was murdered in 1977 by a gun. I did not, and I'm going to get a little emotional, I'm going to try to hold it together. I did not go around saying, hey, that gun did it. What I did find out as a 10-year-old girl in the next room when this happened is that there's a systematic failure, and it's not just guns. We can take away an AR-15, and there's going to be another gun in place of it. Where does it start? Where does it stop? These are fundamental rights of our Constitution. You would think I'd be the first one to say, hey, let's eliminate weapons altogether, because I have a personal reason. It impacted me. Gun violence impacted me. I didn't just watch it on TV. So with that being said, I share this story because I'm passionate about helping people with mental health issues, because that's part of the problem. There are bad people, there are sick people that get a hold of guns. That doesn't mean we take the weapons out of the hands of the good people because of the bad people. So that's the point I'm going to make, and that's the reasoning in my explanation why I wanted to share this with you and why I feel passionate. I do appreciate that you brought it forward. I meant no disrespect besides bringing into the scope. We all have our passions. And I'm glad that you brought this forward because it's something that maybe we do need to open conversations about. But I also believe that the 10 people here cannot make a viable vote based on something that we don't even know what our community or how they stand upon it. So if you want to go lobby the state and the federal and get it on a referendum, I think that would be the most reasonable way to find out what the people say, because that's what the Constitution is, we the people, not just I the people. So that's all I have to say.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you both for your comments.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Alderman.
Go ahead and ask us, if you've got a question, ask a question.
The fact it is that
Just a quickie now.
the advisory resolution, I believe any of us could move forward with something like that. There's no such thing about the Constitution telling me that, or you or I, anybody else cannot do that. But the fact it is, the amendment or the Constitution that you have your book there, was never been changed. In 2004, when it was changed, that people were able to acquire their assault weapons. In 2004, that ruling, the laws was ceased back then. From then on, was a a can of worm open up, that people start purchasing and they start making assault weapons. Assault weapons, they should be for this department, should have those weapons. To me, that's how you maintain and retain orders in a country. We, at this point, we are in a level of distractions within ourselves, the young people, the media. You know, when the Fox News, they come out and say that in France, in Europe, they have the same amount of tragedy of mass killing. That's not true. That's a false information. They give it to the American public. That's what they say. I mean, that's a false information they're shooting out to the public. That's unrealistic, because I know that for a fact. I know that. In Europe, you cannot just go down the street in a gun shop and buy even a pistol. You have to have a background check for hunting. Everybody, I mean, if you clear after 1 month, then you can have a gun. But you cannot acquire any firearms that destroy people. Not only 2, 1, 10, 15. That's worse for us to be in a war, really. That's worse to be us in a war. Basically, that's how we are. People are dying every day, not just for a pistol. Then I hear about, in West Dallas, there was a 2-knife killing, within the last 5, 7, 8 years or 10 years.
Alderman Vitale, I think you're getting away from your resolution and what is
Well,
meant to be.
basically, in a way, it's bound to fall in the same direction, because a knife is going to happen. I understand that.
Okay, but let our other committee
Yeah, go
members
ahead, go ahead.
have some
Casey, go
input.
ahead.
Okay, so first of all, let's take the first part of this resolution. A background check. Any gun store you go into right now, and I know this for a fact because I bought one myself, you have 2 different background checks you fill out. You fill out a federal background check, and you fill out a state of Wisconsin background check. And the people that are skating by this are people who lie on the background check because a lot of times, like you discussed, mental health. They lie about their mental health, and because of HIPAA laws, there's no way to determine what their mental health status is. So that's how these people get these guns. Number 2, an AR is not an assault rifle. An AR is an Armalite rifle. That is the company that made it. It's the 15th iteration of an AR-15. It is a semi-automatic weapon, just like a 30-06, a 308, or any other hunting rifle. I, who compete in handgun competitions, can take my handgun with the same amount of ammo and shoot it just as fast as I can shoot an AR-15. It's 1 trigger pull, 1 bullet, every time. An automatic weapon, which is considered an assault rifle, is what some of our police department use when they use M4s, or the military uses. 1 trigger pull, empties the magazine. That's the difference between an AR-15 and an assault rifle. So the news keeps telling you that an AR-15 is an assault rifle, and it's not. It is a semi-automatic weapon, just like semi-automatic pistols and other semi-automatic hunting rifles. So that is the reason why things are getting shared falsely in this country. And we, like Alderman Grisham said, we as a local community have no say over this. We can't ban the sale of any guns. We can't. It's not possible. You have to go to the state and you have to go to federal to lobby that.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I wanted to share.
Thank you very much, Alderman Stefanski.
Alderman
Any
Rankin.
other discussion?
Yes. What is the motion?
Alderman Rowe.
It's
Motion to
to
deny.
hold, it's to hold indefinitely, correct?
Right.
Deny.
I'm sorry, not deny, it was,
Can we
yes.
proceed with the motion as it was stated?
So the procedure of the motion should be to postpone indefinitely, and if this is adopted by the committee, it would effectively end the matter without taking any position on anything. That's how it works.
Okay.
A motion to deny technically should be if there was a request for a license or a permit, you would deny that. Since there's no request, it's a resolution,
So it's a
postpone
motion
indefinitely.
to Postpone.
Yes.
Indefinitely.
Madam Chair, and I don't have a problem with that postponing it either, because I think we've all been watching the televisions, and believe it or not, Washington seems to be working together on this. both sides of the aisle to come to a conclusion on this. So I have no problem with holding this for a while, Vince, or for indefinitely, excuse me.
Yeah, so if this motion is adopted, there's no bringing it back, it's done. So it wouldn't appear on any future agendas.
Madam Chair,
So
was there,
basically, Gail, do we have to delete the first motion then?
I did, I pulled it back.
Oh, okay. And did you?
yes.
Also,
And I
okay.
seconded the.
All right,
the
so
current
now move
motion.
forward with the new motion?
To postpone.
Indefinitely.
Yes.
Indefinitely.
You know, to me, that's really,
Well, who's going to make the
Madam Chair.
motion to postpone?
We did.
We
Well,
already
already
did,
got
and I
a second.
All
seconded
right,
it.
it's been moved and seconded.
Yep.
All those in favor?
discussion,
Aye.
Alderman Rankin, discussions.
We already had
We
discussion.
already
We're
had the
discussion, but we're talking about
Alderman
the
Vitale,
postpone
and
it
I don't think you
indefinite.
can
It means,
speak after 2 times.
it means we not send that to the state then. I mean, to me, I think the proper way is to take to the floor, to the common council floor. To me, that's a proper route to take, not just to let it sit dormant. To do the, kill,
The motion has been made.
still it should be able to find it. They can make the motion, but still, I mean, I believe they could go to the council floor. To me, that's the rules.
So there already was a motion and a vote was called by the chair. So the chair has to decide if discussion is getting repetitive or if it still is valuable. That's a responsibility of the chair of the committee. So at this point in time, it's already been called for a vote. That's already occurred. Procedurally, if the council wishes to take this item up, the council would have to adopt a motion to discharge this committee and take this item up. But that would take a majority vote of the council to do so. Otherwise, it would not appear before the council.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, thank you.
So all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
No,
Opposed?
no.
Carried. Thank you.
What was it, 4-1?
Number 44, appointment of Alice Benke to the Board of Appeals.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Motion to adjourn.
Been moved and
Second.
seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
So I don't read out it?
Good evening. We're going to call the Common Council back to order, and I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Rote.
Here.
Stefanski.
Here.
Tenorio.
Here.
Vitale. Weigel.
Here.
Grisham.
Here.
Haas.
Here.
Keen.
Excused.
Lysick.
Here.
Ranky.
Here.
9 present, 1 excused.
We have a quorum. We will begin with the Administration and Finance Committee, and I will ask the clerk to read out that report. I believe we had a separate action item for number 22.
And, well, yeah, item 22 was held by the committee, so we don't need to take any action.
Then it's really separate.
It's
Really
very, very separate.
The Administration and Finance Committee recommended passage of item 17 and adoption of items 18 through 21.
Mayor Devine, I move for approval of the committee report.
Thank you, Alderman Haas. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries. Then we will go to the Public Works Committee, and I will ask the clerk to read out that report.
The Public Works Committee recommended adoption of items 23, 24, 25, hold item 26, and approval of item 27.
I move in accordance with the committee report, Mayor Devine.
Thank you, Alderman Rote. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries. Thank you. And then we will move on to the Safety and Development Committee, and I will ask the clerk to read out that report.
There's a request to have item 28 separate.
Thank you.
The Safety and Development Committee recommended adoption of 29 and 30.
Mayor Devine, I move for approval of the committee report on those items.
Thank you, Alderman Lysick. Any discussion on item 29 or 30? Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to take the roll.
Alderperson Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries. Then we have item 28.
Mayor Devine, I move for approval of item 28.
Thank you. Any discussion on item 28? Hearing none, I will ask the clerk to take the roll.
Alderperson Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
No.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
8 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 excused.
Motion carries. Thank you. Then we'll move on to the License and Health Committee. Madam Clerk.
The License and Health Committee recommended passage of item 32, granting of item 33, hold item 34, 35, grant item 36, 37, deny item 38 based on the police report, grant items 39 and 40, deny item 41 based on the police record, and placing item 42 on file.
Mr. Mayor, based on the License and Health Committee report, I'll move for approval.
Thank you, Alderman Vitale. Any discussion?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch. Item 39 was to approve?
Correct,
Yes.
grant.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Discussion? Hearing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries. And we will conclude the evening with the Advisory Committee. I will ask the clerk to read out that report.
Mr.
Good.
Mayor,
Alderman,
if
we
I
gotta-
could,
No, you can't yet, because we haven't read out the report. And I don't think the item's going to be before us. Madam Clerk, sorry.
The Advisory Committee recommended approval of item 44.
Mayor Devine, I move for approval of the committee report.
Okay, we have a motion to approve item 44. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Oh,
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Vitale?
Yeah, I would like to bring to the council floor to recharge or discharge the advisory committee from the resolution that was,
Alderman, let's vote on the item before us or let's go to the attorney.
yeah, what
So-
the attorney now.
Mr. Chair, it can be taken either right now or it can be taken after this vote, but because the Alderman made the motion, it should be handled at some point in time tonight. It's the chair's decision whether to proceed with 44 and go back to 43 or add that. So, given that it would be a separate vote, my advice would be to continue with 44 at this point in time and then handle the alderperson's motion afterwards.
I'm good with your advice. So we have item 44, the appointment to the Board of Appeals in front of us currently. And if there is no discussion on that, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Frankie.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
That motion carries. Alderman Vitale.
Mr. Mayor, yeah, I would like to discharge the advisory, and I'd like to bring the advisory resolution to the council floor, and I make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
So the motion is to discharge the committee. What that means is it's taking item 43 from the committee and instead bringing it before this council. So if you wish to do so and wish to discuss item 43, you have to vote in favor of this motion. If you do not wish to discuss this item, you should vote nay or no.
So we first vote on if the item comes before us, correct?
That's all this is. It's not a final vote. It's a procedural motion, which means that a vote in favor continues discussion. A vote opposed would end discussion, and then there'd be nothing left on the agenda.
Okay.
No ends.
Yes.
Is everybody clear on this?
Yep.
5th District?
We're set.
We're good? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So the motion is to discharge it from committee, I believe was the term. And I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Rote.
No.
Stefanski.
No.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
No.
Grisham.
No.
Haas.
No.
Lysick.
Aye.
Frankie.
No.
5 in favor, 3, 5, no,
Six.
3.
3 in favor, 5
Six and three.
opposed.
6 and 3.
That's Dana.
Yeah, sorry.
Didn't know there was going to be a map.
Yeah. 6
to 3.
opposed, 3 in favor, 1 excused.
So the motion fails.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we recess until our next regularly, actually specially scheduled meeting, Tuesday, June 28th at 7 p.m.
Second.
It's a week later than normal.
Okay.
So we'll have a nice, fun-filled 3-week agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.